I live in the north of England and I live in Cumbria. It's a working environment where so many people still exist here, just as they used to. In fact, it's never changed. In little pockets and up valleys and green dales, its life is still like it always was here. And it's hard fought, is this tradition. It's hard to stick to, is the way we always did it. About not losing the dialect and not losing the way and not losing words like I and say nout or that'll do. And that's what this place is about. That's what the mountains are about. It's this centuries of shepherding them, caring for them, loving them and enjoying them. And sometimes it might seem that when you live up here you haven't got time for it, but you have. At sunrise when you're looking for sheep that have lambed at the back of a wall, or at sunset when everybody else has gone, you're still there, picking up stones, putting them back on the wall, rehanging the gate, picking up the litter sometimes, managing this place so it remains always the same. The Lake District is still honest, like so few places are, and so are the people. It's time spent and traditions. It's just a wonderful place to visit and to live. And I can see why so many have returned time and time again. And you don't have to live here or be born here to feel it. It draws, I think, thousands every year. And the draw of the mountains in particular. And I think the people as well.
Happy mother and daughter. These are twins that were born yesterday, and we've sprayed iodine on the umbilical cord for infection, and then we check to see whether they're male or female. So if you like, this is the nursery before they're going on to primary school out in the field. The Herdwick's the traditional breed for the Lakeland, and many people say it was saved by Beatrix Potter, who bought up quite a number of old Herdwick sheep farms years and years ago and donated them to the National Trust. But it is the traditional Lakeland breed. It's been around for probably at least 1,000 years, and I'm told Herdwick is Old Norse for meaning sheep pasture. So they've been here just as long as we have, if not longer. And you know, we keep these traditions going. They live up on the fells here in Wasdale, and they're as much a part of the landscape and the scenery as all the mountains and all the lakes. They are the epitome of what is the Lake District National Park to me. Not everybody agrees, but they're slow maturing. They don't breed till the 3rd year. The lambs to get ready probably almost a year before they're ready for market, as it were. Herdwick's generally lamb sort of dusk and dawn, so we're not here in the middle of the night, but I would say we're around till about midnight and then going again from 4 a.m. So yeah, it's with a little baby as well, it keeps me awake most of the hours.
Unless that's holding it up. Oh, there's some litter there, Rob, as well. You like your wombling.
It's a bit ironic when you think about how people sort of are drawn to Scafell Pike to see the biggest hill in England, and you think that these are just a fragments of the landmass that originally was here. The old red sandstone that sort of covered this whole area would have been way above our heads. That's all been worn away, and all the sort of slates were worn away. The activities that created the volcanic series were relatively recent. What we see now were the last stage of the formation of this landscape, and so all these huge piles of debris are really just bits of volcanic ash that are scattered around, and then the glaciers came and pushed them around a bit more. On our time scale, we feel like we're doing something important, trying to preserve what we can. The balance between the natural erosion and sort of human intrusion accelerating it, so this is probably the limit of where we go. This is, beyond here it's like natural devastation, so yeah, this is about as far as we get.
The drain that I built many years ago.
Didn't look very good. What's that stone all about?
Yeah, but look at the stone. Look at that. I put that in.
I bet that was there originally. It does remind me of that other drain on Ubar actually.
Last one on Mickledore. And then over to Lingmill. Oh, it's a fine drain. It's a fine drain. Look at that. What a face. Hey? Nearly as good as this face.
Well, I've lived here for best part of 25 years, but coming to Cumbria since I was a small boy. A friend who used to be a governor at the school, he was also a broadcaster, and he started making DVDs about walks in the Lake District. Videos in those days they were, and he asked me if I could come and help, and that started me on my career as a researcher for walks. I mean, what could be better than being sent out to go and find a good walk and a few stories and being paid for it? I just come up from Wasdale Head and off up the old pony track that goes over from Wasdale Head into Seathwaite in Borrowdale. That's the original path that people would take, especially if they were carrying goods. The new route, of course, is the one that goes high up there, traverses across the breast of Great Gable. It's a boring, tedious route, but this is far more exciting because you come to things like this, the Emerald Pool. Fabulous little pool, always has a green sheen to it. Doesn't matter what the weather's like, it even looks inviting on a cold day. Two streams running into it, natural little hollow, perfect. But we're just going a little further on, cross the stream and head off, climbing steeply up towards Scafell Pike, my favourite route up this mountain. This is a second feature on this particular walk. This is Piers Gill. Now, whether Piers is a surname, a Christian name, whether he was male, female, we have no idea. But this is Piers Gill, and it gives its name to the route we're on. Fantastic thing about this route is it hardly ever gets used. It's not a scar going across the breast of the fell. It's an indistinct path, one easy to follow. Absolutely wonderful. But Piers Gill was the haunt of botanists. They just loved this place, searching in the dark and dank crevices for rare plants. And one such botanist fell in there, broke a leg, I believe, and lay there for some considerable time. I'm talking weeks, not days, and lived on water until he was found and rescued. And he survived. Fabulous mountain. Scafells, well, number one, they are the biggest. It's the biggest, 3,210 feet high. It's the highest in England, and therefore that's got an appeal. It brings people here because of that. And I suppose that was for me, going up there was, it's the highest. once you get to know the area, you can approach it from this side. You can't see it from Wasdale Head. You've actually got to come down the valley before you can actually see up through Brown Tongue and see to the top. And I think that's part of its charm. It is so big, it's remote. When I was taking my young son up there, you know, I used to say to him, what happens if I get lost? You never get lost. Just walk downhill. You'll soon find somewhere. But if you walk down into Upper Eskdale, it's still a long way down to the nearest farm or the nearest telephone box. But people seem to get frightened of these places, but there really isn't anything to be really worried about. That's not to say you shouldn't take care. God, I've had a mountain rescue at me if I didn't actually say that. But properly prepared, and being able to turn round if the weather does come in bad. You know, if it starts getting really cold and you haven't got the right kit. A lot of people just don't turn round and come back and say, we'll do it another day. People don't make these good, sound mountaineering decisions that they should. And that's quite often why people get into difficulties. Well, that's the end of the Piers Gill route. It joins up onto the superhighway, which is the corridor route, and we're now going to break off and head up to Broad Crag Col. There's a little bit of snow still lingering in there, even though it's a beautiful spring day. It'll be good fun. Well, made it to the top, and once again I'm not alone. I've never been up here when I've been on my own. There's always somebody else up here. They say some in the region of 250,000 people get up here every year. We don't need many more to make that number now. But the view from here is absolutely splendid. Scafell across the way there, just this huge barrier of rock, just almost says, go away, you can't get up here. And then there's a great panorama right round all my favourite local Wasdale fells, Seatallan, Buckbarrow, Middlefell, Ewbarrow. The Summit Cairn, which is massive and has got steps so you can get onto the top of it and hold many, many people. And it's probably the biggest in Lake District. Also is a memorial to all the men of the Lake District who fell during the First World War. It was given to the nation by Lord Leconfield.
I've enjoyed the Lake District and Scafell before and decided to bring my daughter to come and sample it. So what have you found it so far?
It's been alright. Haven't really liked the wind, but it was good anyway.
It's beautiful. You can see we're absolutely miles. We were told we could see Scotland Wales, Ireland from up here, we can see about 30 yards. I've managed to get to the top of Scafell Pike. It's my first big mountain walk and I'm quite chuffed with myself. I'm just looking forward to the nice stroll down now.
I'm Jeremy at the top of Scafell Pike and just climbed it for leisure today. Enjoy the challenge of it, trying to get to the top of another mountain. So, thanks.
Well, the Lake District's always been very special to me. It's not got the biggest mountains in the world, but that, you know, by world standards, they're pimples. You know, the Scafell Pike here is 900 odd meters high. It's not particularly big. The Three Peaks Challenge is an interesting one from the BMC's point of view. One of those sort of famous challenges involve walking in the UK, doing Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike, and Snowdon in 24 hours. It's obviously a very popular challenge to do, but it does have a dark side with litter. Litter can be an issue. You know, people just sort of dropping what they've eaten on the side of the mountain. Last year, a volunteer found an octopus on top of Scafell Pike. You know, so either you've got a very determined octopus, or somebody brought it up and for some reason decided they'd discard it on the top of Scafell Pike. But it can also have a massive impact on local residents, in hundreds of people who sort of turn up, disturb local residents, go up, come back down, and then go away again, and they don't actually sort of contribute anything to the local area. So one of the projects that we've been involved with recently is the Fix the Fells work on the top of Calf Cove, on the path leading up to the top of Scafell Pike. Now, it's one of the most popular routes up Scafell Pike. It's the one that a lot of people are doing the Three Peaks Challenge take to the top. So as such, it sees thousands of visitors walking along that path and a huge amount of visitor pressure. But the second part is, you know, what's called a cairn rationalisation. But basically what that means is taking out cairns which are unnecessary or misleading. So cairns are a part of mountain culture. So, you know, in an area with sort of lots of rocks and there's not particularly a clear path through it, people will construct little piles of rocks that guide the way. But over time, you can end up with a sort of a cairn anarchy, and you can end up with cairns in places where they shouldn't be, and which are actually quite misleading and can be dangerous. So part of what the volunteers, the National Trust volunteers who did that work, did was to basically take out the unnecessary cairns.
Okay, what we're doing here on this section of path is just redefining the path surface. There's lots of different routes that kind of make their way through this boulder field. We're just trying to make one easily distinguishable, easy to walk on route. So what we're doing is we're taking out quite a few of the large boulders that are blocking the main line of the path. We're using those boulders to then block off alternative paths that we don't want people to walk on anymore.
So we've just been in the Clag most of the day. It's been, you know, fairly unremarkable, but we've just basically come out of all the murk and mist and emerged to this completely different world where we're above the cloud now. You know, it's the kind of thing you see when you come into the mountains, and it's very hard to describe how amazing it feels to be up here. You know, it probably doesn't do it justice in pictures, really. When you see moments like this, you realise that that was worth it, and that's what the BMC's work is all about. It's about making sure that we always have the right to be in places like this, and that we preserve the qualities of the mountain environment that make it so special to us.
I can't believe we're here, can you? This is my first ever time on Scafell Pike. Is it yours?
No, it's my second time. So
Oh.
I did it about 3 years ago, but the weather was a lot different then, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
The views are absolutely spectacular.
I've lived in Cumbria for nearly 20 years. I can actually see Scafell Pike from my bedroom, and I've never actually climbed it. So we decided that before I was 40 I would do it, and unfortunately tomorrow's my 40th and I'm running out of time. So the children have actually beaten me. I've got 2 children with us today, and it's the third of the 3 peaks for them, so I'm quite proud of them for actually getting to the top.
Been up here a few times now, mostly working with the Duke of Edinburgh Award participants and just making sure they're safe and enjoying the fells and the beautiful area around here.
What a great day to come up. As you can see behind me, it's got fantastic weather. Not very often you get to the top of Scafell Pike and get some glorious sunshine, and look at the views, they're to die for. Why would you ever need to go abroad when you've got views like this?
Steady now. Lucky spider. Come on. Come on. They like me wanting here, I don't know why. Good spider. Come on. Got plenty of grass where they were, but hey! I'm Josh Neller. I've lived in this valley now for nearly 78 years. I was born at Wasdale Head at a place called Middle Row. I took up fell running around about 1960. There was a mountain trial at Wasdale Head, and at that time I'd never really done any mountain running. I'd been injured. I had no running shoes or anything. I just got my knife and cut the legs off my trousers and went in my big work boots. And I tell you what, it was absolute magic. It was one of the greatest things I think I've ever done. You know, when you're running well and this sort of thing, it's absolute great, because I know when I did the 72 peaks over 2,000 feet, it was one of those days when you just went out and enjoyed the whole experience. And it just seemed like a dream, as though you would never ever do it in 24 hours. And going on to Scafell in 47 minutes, it was something. It wasn't set up or anything like that. And I had my friend with us, John Sutherland, and I said, just time us now, I'll have a run up Pike. I said, I've come, I might as well do it. And I went up by the river. I didn't go up Brown Tongue, I went up Little Brown Tongue. And I seemed to change up about 3 gears. I just legged it right out, and I took a direct line to the end of Pike's Crags, and I sprinted across to there. I touched the cane and I set off back down, and I was legging it down there pretty fast. And the helicopter come, and the old commanding officer said to the film man who was taking the film of the 3 peaks for them, he said, "Hell's bells, I've never seen anything like that in my life." He said, "It's like a bloody mountain goat going." He said, "Just film that bloke down to the bottom." Anyways, I got down to the bottom and I said to John, I said, "How long's that took?" And he said, 47 minutes. And I never thought another thing about it for years after. It was just something special.
I don't come from Mountain Lakeland. I'm a Cotswold farmer originally, but I always aspired to come to the Lake District, and I've always loved wild places. In my early 20s, I got to know Alfred Wainwright, and that was a huge transition in my life. Primarily because I was dyslexic and I didn't read, but I loved drawing, and I shared a passion for line drawing with AW. So I had a unique entry into the great outdoors through the prism of Alfred Wainwright. And it gave me the confidence to start writing my own guidebooks. I did the Cotswold Way to start with, and I did other routes. But ultimately I felt my destiny was here in the Lake District. And I'm here today studying the paths as I'm going along and remembering what they were like. How long ago was it? About 8 years ago when I did the Midwestern fells. That's what this category of fells around here are for me. And the National Trust have done a tremendous job in this area. Many people criticise the hard paths, but I can assure you the fells are better for all the work that they've done. And ultimately the walkers are better off. But you can still explore. And getting away from those hard pitched paths is the most obvious thing for many walkers to do, to really get to know these fells. Well, I'm standing on the westernmost point of Eastyriggs Crag on Esk Pike. Now, this drawing was taken a little further down at Pike de Beeld Moss, but because of the temperature inversion I'm unable to get to that position. But nonetheless you can still see Esk Buttress and Scafell Pike and Little Narrow Cove and Ill Crag, which are majestically seen from this spot. So wherever you stand on this southerly ridge of Esk Pike, there you are sure to be wowed by Scafell Pike. And the joy of turning it into something as enduring as a pen and ink drawing is something that thrills me. And there are numerous angles here that I could capture that would instill this magic of the wild Scafell Massif. All these mountains have a special emotional attachment to me. I love the little summit of Slightside, for example. And I got great pleasure in scrambling up Campspout Crag. Seldom climbed, it seemed, by the average walker, but it gets you up onto Long Green and you look across the coombe towards Ill Crag. My very special place is Pen above Esk Buttress, where you're very intimate with Little Narrow Cove, which spills great crags and scree in a way that you can't comprehend from any other aspect. And I really loved being on Ill Crag itself, because again you're looking down on Pen and down into the Little Narrow Cove and up and across to Scafell Pike itself. And this is always very special. And when you can find these little places, so you can find the little combes like Fox's Tarn, and the greater coombe that runs round towards Campspout Crag, and then Little Narrow Cove itself, which is an amazing valley that rises raw and craggy right up to Broad Crag Col, seldom climbed. And you get to that point and there's a procession of happy souls, all thinking that they're on the only path that's worthy of being on, and yet you know different when you're there.
What we're experiencing here at Wasdale Show is something that is an unbroken link, goes back over hundreds of years through the farming life of these valley heads. And you know, this is the most spectacular valley head in the whole of Britain. But it's not, they call it a show, but it isn't really a show.
It's a shepherd's meet. It's a shepherd's meet because the shepherds used to come into here with all the stray sheep that have come from all the hefty flocks around the place, and they would exchange sheep. You know, have a few whiskies and go home after 2 or 3 days with raising hangovers and their own sheep.
Walking back over the passes.
Indeed, yeah.
Well,
in any weather.
Well, stumbling, maybe.
Yeah. And then when the shepherds got together, they not only drank, but they also had competitions among themselves. Who had the best boots? Who had the best crook? Who could run fastest up a hill? Who could wrestle? Cumberland Westmoreland wrestling, you know. The only place where you'll see a man wearing his knickers on the outside with some embroidery on. You know.
Well, we're mostly here to like bring sheep to like boost business when we're selling them. For like last Saturday there was a Cockermouth tup sale that we sold tups at, and one made 3,000, and that's beat us here today with our own sheep. So one of our own beat us. So you get a kind of a mixture of tups. You get the hard coated, which have been at fell all year, and you get like a bit smoother, which haven't been to the fell as often. Like round here you'll get the rough coated and down the lowlands you'll get all smooth and soft coated that's not really that good.
This show is always very well patronised by the Herdwick sheep breeders, and this morning you'll see the best sheep probably anywhere in the Lake District as far as Herdwick go. It's been a good summer, good back end, and you'll never ever see them any fitter than what they are today. You know, it's a credit to the flock masters who brought them. There's a lot of good legged sheep, got a good coloured sheep, but a lot of these sheep are no longer fell sheep. They've become spoiled.
Yeah, so we're here at the Wadsdale Show today for a number of reasons. One of the reasons being that, you know, we're the rescue team that looks after the Wadsdale and Eskdale valleys, and we're here to support the local farmers and the local shops and businesses, and basically just to show people that we're actually here. We're quite a busy team, and sometimes we rely quite a lot on the local people for their charity. We're also here to raise money, so there'll be people visiting the valley today from far and wide, just so they can learn a bit more about the team, and hopefully at the same time drop a little donation in to keep our charity running.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you.
Right, go one then. One, and away to go. Anybody want to win a prize who's got a beard? Come into the ring, please.
You have to judge them on colour as well, you see.
Can I just say very quietly that this year's Wadsdale Head show and last year's, David Powell Thompson won the best beard competition.
And that's just maintaining a long tradition, even though I'm not a shepherd. I've still been coming here for 23 years, and I'll be coming here until the day I can't come here anymore.
Absolutely.
It's a great honour, actually. A lot of effort goes into keeping this just as the way it is, you know, and yeah, this'll go next to the last year's first prize as well. In the Strands, that is.
What does your money go on that you win?
The money, I will spend the money on beer.
It's the one day of the year that I ring fence in my diary. I don't care. Somebody could come along and offer me double, treble, quadruple the rate for the job. I would say no. The Wadsdale Head show is sacrosanct.
First came to the Lake District about 31, 32 years ago, and it's always meant so much to my wife and I. We'd gone to the other side, to Brothers Water, and 2 or 3 days in, we were going down Wordsworth Cottage, and wife didn't feel too well. And we went to the guide and said, I'm not really sorry, but don't want to interrupt everything, but my wife doesn't feel too good. So she said, oh dear, go into the garden, but whatever you do, please don't be sick on the daffodils. And it's something that's always resonated with us, for the simple reason that we realised then that Irene was pregnant with our first son, David. And the Lake District, since that particular point, has become incredibly poignant to us. I particularly love Wastwater. There is something about this specific location that just hits you here. And when you look at Scafell Pike, it isn't this huge dominant arête that stands out amongst everything else, but it has a majesty to it. You see the two sides of the Pike and Scafell, and it's almost like a king and queen sat there looking down upon everything. And it fits in beautifully. It's dominant without being over-dominant. But the beauty of that particular fell is that there is so much to it, so many facets. And I think that gets missed sometimes. You see some of the sunrises and the sunsets here that are just absolutely staggering. I mean, you get this incredible pink and orange light, which is just surreal. And I thought I'd try something out, something I'd never done before, and went completely against the grain, brought the iPod with me, settled myself down here about 5:30 one morning. And just as the sun was beginning to rise over the back of Gable, I put on this piece of music that meant so much to me. The feeling that was engendered, wow, it's just something that you can't replicate, because you only have this sort of 10 or 15 minute window of sunrise, sunsets. I took out the earbuds and just listened. And I think I was probably the only person on this water. And the feeling of specialty was just unbelievable. Ravens were going overhead then. You could hear the herdwicks. Staggering. Just staggering.
Well, yeah, it's quite unique, Wasdale. I mean, everywhere has the 4 seasons, but each season here in Wasdale is very different to another. And there's different jobs throughout the year that we have to do. We're currently in autumn, and yeah, it's a little bit frosty this morning, a bit chilly, hence why I'm inside just having a bit of a warm-up after work. But yeah, the process at the moment is basically the breeding for next year, so whether that's the goats or the herdwicks that we have, we've got to plan for next year, and a lot of work goes into getting the tups ready and the billies ready. We need to make sure that they're fighting fit and strong, so that beforehand they all get extra feed and build up their strength, so that when they go out to the girls, because of the amount of work that they have to do, they lose a lot of weight, they put a lot of energy into their work that they do. So they lose a lot of condition throughout the breeding time.
Steady. Good girl. Good girl. Steady on. Steady on. That's it. Good girl for me. Good girl. And down. Good girl. Good girl. Watching you and saying, top dog, top dog. That's where it'll be. Good girl.
But yeah, the herdwicks come down from the fells. All the breeding's done on the in-by land, and the goats as well, they come down from the higher ground and they do all the breeding as well on the lower in-by land. It's it obviously adds to the the diversity of the work from being either up on the higher ground and then the animals being on the lower pasture ground. It's for the herdwicks themselves, they're not overly keen on being on low, flat, square fields. By the time their breeding season's out of the way, they're telling you they want to go. They're knocking the walls down, they're clambering over fences. You can tell when it's time for the herdwicks to go back to the fells.
Steady on.
The Herdwick sheep's an important breed of sheep for this part of the Lake District. It is the figurehead of the Lake District. It's what makes the Lake District looks like it does. So when you're out walking the fells, climbing the mountains, just take a moment of your time and look around and see why it looks the way it does. And that's because of the Herdwick sheep and the generations of farmers that have farmed these valleys and these fells to make it look the way it does for you to enjoy.
If we go into Scafell with the white out. He done what? If we go into Scafell with the white out. Good.
The Wasdale Mountain Rescue Team are based in Gosforth, which covers the valleys of Eskdale and Wasdale. We are quite a busy team. We deal with lots of things from the sad fatalities to just dealing with the people that just need a bit of helping hand on the fell. They just need a bit of a telephone call to tell them, yeah, you're on the right path, keep going. But also every now and then we get called out to help the local farmers, the local communities. We'll go out and the farmer's got a sheep that's crag fast. We have been called out once to a cow that was missing up on Scafell, and some of the team turned out to that. And nowadays, we do ask ourselves some certain questions before we go out, especially the summer season when the Three Peaks Challenge is going on. We need to be thinking, well, do we want to turn the team out at 1 o'clock in the morning just to get some lost people and then the team are tired? So we start looking at, well, is their life at risk? Is there any medical problems? Is anybody injured? And if there's no severe weather forecast, the chances are, if people have got the right equipment, we are going to leave them out and expect them to come out in the morning, which, you know, that's general mountaineering. People should start to recognise that they should be doing that in some cases. And I think it's important for people to remember that we are a voluntary organisation when they make that call, and we are coming from work, we may be coming from dinner, or we may be taking our wives out for a nice meal, and it never goes down very well. So people need to remember that sometimes, that we are volunteers and we come out of our own goodwill to do this job.
So just sit yourself there. So do you recall losing consciousness at all?
So Scafell Pike usually attracts most of our attention, England's highest mountain and all, and we get all sorts of rescues up there. So, you know, we get the odd turned ankle. There was one recently where we had a turned ankle. The husband thought it was just a simple twist, and we actually got up there and it was quite a nasty fracture dislocation. We get really serious ones. The serious ones on Scafell Pike tend to be around Broadstand sort of area. People venture onto Broadstand, they slip on the rock, and unfortunately usually fatality. But winter approaches, you know, people tend to be going out without crampons and ice axe, and it does tend to attract a few more incidents, twisted ankles. But we do get the odd serious one where, you know, people have taken considerable falls from the top of Lord's Rake path, for example. We had a devastating fatality just on the Lord's Rake path last year. I think it was the December sort of time. He took a fall and he come down the front of Red Gill area. It was, you know, it was quite a sad time for the family. Yeah, it was in a bad way.
Well, today I'm exploring slightly lower down this area. This side of Scafell and the lakes I think is the wildest side. Here it's quite complex terrain. There's all sorts of interesting little knolls, there's little bowls, there's streams, there's waterfalls, there's pools, so it's changing all the time. You're in this fantastic bowl of hills stretching right round from Crinkle Crags right the way round over Bowfell and Pike to Scafell, which is behind me. Well, I've been exploring around these crags and it's really quite interesting what you find and what you see. On the crags behind me here you can see a line of dark juniper bushes growing on soil on the cliffs themselves, but there's none above and below there, and that's because of the sheep. And that's one of the things with this landscape. Whilst it feels really wild, it's not an untouched wilderness. If there were no sheep, there would be juniper bushes and probably other trees scattered all over this area. But as it is, they can only grow where the sheep, good though the sheep are at some mountaineering, but there's a limit to what they can do, and if the sheep can't get there, the bushes can grow. One of the great things about wild camping somewhere like this is that because I'm staying in one place for a while I'm in camp, I can look at the hills and see the details, see the changes as the hours go by, in a way that if you're walking, you miss, because you're moving on and it's always a different view. I'm seeing new details, new bits and pieces, little valleys and so on. One of the great things about being here at night is that you can see the whole sky. There's no night pollution at all. There's no glow on the horizon from even a house, let alone a town. So when the stars are out, everything is absolutely clear and sharp. At the moment, as I say, there's the moon, there's some stars, there's drifting clouds, but it's all natural, it's all what's up in the sky. It's not affected by town lights.
I'm Alan Hinks, mountaineer and mountain guide. I've climbed all over the world, but I love climbing in Britain.
It's an absolutely brilliant place to rock climb and winter climb. You can see the black streaks where icicles form, and then behind me is the main cliff with all famous climbs on, like Bottrell Slab, Central Buttress, Moss Gill, Steep Gill, Deep Gill. You can see the whole full 9 yards. Fantastic. One of the best cliffs in the British Isles. In fact, one of the best cliffs in the world.
It's just sheer quality from bottom to top. and you can have a fantastic experience. You can have a whole day out on the Scafells, you know. I mean, usually you need a whole day to get something done. A long day in winter, you'll set off pre-dawn and come back in the dark with a head torch.
This is Mickledore, which is between Scafell and Scafell Pike, and it's a rocky col that separates Wasdale from Eskdale. And I came up here as a teenager, one of my first big fell walks I ever did, and I stayed in Blacksail Youth Hostel, and then I came over here to Mickledore intending to get to Scafell Pike, and I got socked in the mist, in the clag, in the cloud, and so I managed to get up here, and then I bivouacked here in the cloud, bivouacked in the mist, in the thick mist, next to this rescue box. I actually thought it was going to be a hut, so I spent a night here alone in the mist, and then afterwards I carried on up to the top of Scafell Pike. But this place is absolutely rich in climbing and walking heritage. You've got Broad Stand here, which leads up to the top of Scafell, but that's not to be attempted by hill walkers. In fact, a lot of climbers can't even do Broad Stand. It's never been done by Wainwright, although I think it was possibly the first climb ever done or ever recorded by Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
The Scafells definitely feed my passion for the hills and the mountains, whether it be rock climbing in summer on the fantastic cliffs or winter mountaineering, you know, snow and ice climbing. They've just got everything you need. Sometimes it's frustrating because the weather can be very, very inclement, very bad, and then you can't get out and do anything. So it's pleasure. You could almost say it's pleasure and pain on the Scafells, and certainly a test of your stamina and resilience and determination. They're as testing as any mountain, albeit you only need to go out for a day really on the Scafells and get back for a decent pint and a meal, unless you get benighted or unless you decide to go and camp. Fat Man's Agony, here we go. Squeeze through this. Hope I don't get my arm stuck, so I've got to bite it off to escape. So many accidents happen here. People try to descend it in the summer. Some people have mooted putting a ladder, and I think that would only increase accidents because it encourages more people to come here. Let's hope it doesn't get any wetter. Oh, that's wet. Some wet handholds here, but other than that the rock's not too bad. People often ask me to compare the 8,000 metre peaks like Everest and K2 to the Scafells. There's not really a comparison as such, other than they're all mountains and Scafell is obviously a lot smaller. In many ways I'd rather be on Scafell than Everest or K2 because you can have a fantastic experience and it's just a day trip, or you can go and camp and have a couple of days there. To commit to Everest or K2 is accepting that you may get killed. Well, I don't think I'm going to get up this slimy rock today. It's still draining from the winter and there's a lot of lichen and moss on it, so it's very greasy and slippery, and the holes are just slabby, sloping out. Not any particularly good handholds, and even a bit of overhanging rock here. So I think retreat is the better part of valour. No point in dying on this. So this is Broad Stand and Morvay Par, very tricky rocky step, not to be recommended to hill walkers or fell walkers. It's not the way up Scafell. Or it's not an easy way up Scafell anyway. In summer, if you're a rock climber, it may be possible. But it's very tricky, and a slip has generally very serious or fatal consequences here. So I'd better get down. I'm not laughing. I'd better get down. I tell you what, don't you know the rescue team? Could they get to the top and lower me a rope, do you think? The Wasdale rescue team. Wasdale rescue team, yeah, that'd be embarrassing. Just nip round to the top and lower me a rope. I'll get down. I hope. In winter, the whole area can change. It sort of has, in a way, a sort of menacing friendliness. I mean, the whole area seems friendly to me. It's like an old mate. I love going back to Scafell. You could be going up in a blizzard, you know, fighting against the teeth of a gale. Or if you're lucky, it can be fantastic blue skies and crisp, perfect snow and ice. Like any mountains, though, the Scafell shouldn't be underestimated. In fact, I often point out to people I've been avalanched on Great End. And people can't believe it. They say, what, you've been avalanched in the Lake District? And yeah, I escaped by the skin of my teeth. It was me who set the avalanche off at the top of a climb on Great End. I'd soloed without ropes up a sort of grade 4 route through grade 3, 4. Somehow I managed to crab crawl and swim out of the avalanche and got away. Whenever I'm mountaineering, rock climbing or ice climbing or even just fell walking, I feel in my element. That's when I feel alive. And the Scafells, I'm as alive as anywhere. It's just feels like you're on one of the best mountains in the world, really. I mean, there's fantastic other peaks in the lakes and all over Britain, but for me, I just got to be out in the fells, and then that's it.
David Attenborough's breathtaking series A Perfect Planet is streaming now on iPlayer, and we're staying on the fells on BBC4 with The Great Mountain Sheep Gather next.